Why do these numbskulls think they can leave these scooters here? Huh? Bird? Come and pick this crap up. Numbskulls. Ain't got no brain activity. Stop blocking the crosswalk button with your scooters. Here we go. MARTA bus can't make it around the corner because that left turn lane needs to be pushed back. But they haven't bothered with it yet. See what's going on here? He's having to force this person to back up. I mean, he's only got so much room. Got this whole lane to go here, pal. Right about where that sign is, it needs to be fixed. That no left turn sign that nobody can see. Why is it that nobody will stop when those two lights up there go red? You stop where that sign says stop. You don't keep going. That makes you an idiot.
Then to find your next home. The exodus of people moving out of California is not new.
No sane person would want to leave California if they could make it here.
For the first time ever, people are leaving.
In 2020, California lost 650,000 people.
Several high-profile companies have moved their headquarters.
This place is gonna stay. Watch, they already have high taxes. Our problems are man-made. All you have to do is pay attention.
It's the money that's doing the talking. The California legislature can't go on forever like this.
There's a lot of people that you would be surprised by their stories.
Tend to be stolen. Other plans include moving some items behind checkout counters and putting some items behind locks. While companies are trying to protect themselves from shoplifting and organized retail crime, Kohl's said it was using cables to secure products in stores and only offering in-store testing of beauty products. It's also having more staff in fitting rooms and having more workers near the front doors. Target and Walmart have also spoken out about the rise in crime recently. A National Retail Federation survey shows that retail outlets suffered $94.5 billion in losses in 2021, primarily from theft. Speaking of theft, a California man was detained for stealing $1.8 million in luxury items from a hotel room. He then allegedly sold the stolen goods to a Florida buyer. The victims were from Brazil and staying at the Peninsula Beverly Hills Hotel in California for a fashion event. They said they didn't know the suspect, Jobson DeCastro. DeCastro took an Uber to the hotel and allegedly tricked hotel staff into giving him a key to the victim's room. He made multiple Uber trips to the hotel and also charged food to the victim's room account when he ate at the hotel bar. Authorities say he messaged a buyer for the stolen goods over Instagram. The buyer's store was located in Miami, and DeCastro allegedly brought the stolen items there. Authorities tracked him using GPS data from his Uber rides and via Apple AirTags located in one of the suitcases. Authorities also discovered DeCastro is being investigated for a separate hotel theft. It's been over 10 years since Hurricane Sandy wreaked havoc on the East Coast. The question of how to best protect the New York-New Jersey harbor from flooding is still under debate. Here's the story.
In the fall of 2012, Superstorm Sandy crashed into the coastline of New York and New Jersey. With a storm surge so massive, it ripped homes off their foundations, shattered boardwalks, devastated subway tracks and tunnels, and blacked out lower Manhattan. It took the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers 10 years to produce a protection plan to defend the area from the next such weather event. The Corps recommended a robust and complex system of barriers, flood walls, berms, and levees with a price tag of $52.6 billion. It's the most ambitious plan in the Corps' history. the project is set to go before the U.S. Congress for approval. But a coalition of residents, environmentalists, and climate activists say the plan is focused on preventing the last crisis, not the next one.
One of the biggest problems with the plan is that it started out with too narrow a focus. So when the Corps does a project, they can do a single hazard project or a multi-hazard project. And they started this project as single hazard, only looking at storm surge impacts.
Tracy Brown is the president of Riverkeeper, a nonprofit aimed at protecting the Hudson River and New York's drinking water.
What it needs to be is a multi-hazard plan, because in addition to having storm surges, we have these heavy rain events where we are seeing loss of life and incredible damage to property. We have sea level rise, creating monthly flooding in more and more communities now. So if we don't start with the multi-hazard approach and say this is what we're going to address, we're just going to end up with a hammer that hits one nail. And we have many nails and many challenges.
Some of the proposal envisions walls that might sever New York City residents from the rivers around them. Andrew Krujkovich is with Columbia University's Climate School.
In Greenpoint, Brooklyn, Long Island City, Queens, and then also on the lower west side of Manhattan along the Hudson River, what's proposed are approximately 12 to 20 foot high seawalls. So this will change our experience with waterways, with the coastal areas of New York City, areas that have really brought the city together, both for New Yorkers and also millions of visitors as well.
And the challenges are changing. In September 2021, Hurricane Ida delivered flash flooding in the city and further upstate that killed at least 26 people without a storm surge. Other threats include wildfire smoke from Canada and summer heat waves. Activists say there's still time to change the Army Corps of Engineers' plan for New York, but they need to listen to locals.
So we're at a moment now where our local leaders, the governors of New York and New Jersey, can say to the Corps, we don't approve this plan. We want something different. We want multi-hazards. Let's continue to work on it. Let's partner and get something better that then goes to.
This is according to an investigation by British news outlet The Times. Who's on Zhang's target list? Security officials, civil servants, and academics. In short, those with access to classified information or commercially sensitive technology. How does the alleged scheme work? Zhang first reaches out to targets by posing as a recruiter on LinkedIn. He then asks them to write reports within their areas of expertise. After that, Zhang asks targets for secret information to prove their credibility. Once that goes through, he invites them on trips to China, often to give speeches or for other business opportunities. After the targets arrive, he uses dinners or deals to encourage them to hand over sensitive information. If those soft tactics don't work, he may try to blackmail targets. The UK says it's on high alert about China's interest in the country. A report from the UK Parliament's intelligence watchdog said the country is of significant interest to China because of the UK's close relations with the US. It sits just below China's top priority targets. China is in the red zone. That's the message from the commander of the U.S. Southern Command. The comment last Friday drew attention to China's Belt and Road Initiative and how infrastructure projects under it could quickly switch gears to serve military purposes. Southcom General Laura Richardson called out Beijing's construction projects in South and Central America as examples, saying, quote, they are on the 20-yard line to our homeland, adding they're on the first or second island chain to our homeland. China's controversial Belt and Road Initiative offers loans to smaller, less developed nations, used for building seaports and other critical projects. Often dubbed as China's debt trap diplomacy, Western nations accuse the Belt and Road of saddling recipients with mountains of debt. Later, when they become unable to repay China, Beijing takes control of the infrastructure in exchange and inches closer to Washington's doorstep. But there's more, with Richardson and other officials warning that China could use the Belt and Road to set up future military bases in the Western Hemisphere, though it doesn't have any yet. China's embassy in Washington has brushed up those concerns as lies and slander. Richardson highlighted Chinese-controlled deep-water seaports in Panama and Chile, plus 5G telecom gear in South and Central America, saying the U.S. is getting outcompeted by the Chinese right now, and that Washington must be able to offer alternatives to China for Latin America.
Not with Joe Biden.
Angry flood victims protesting in front of a state council building in northern China. They took to the streets over disaster compensation money, which many say is severely lacking. Let's take a closer look at what's happening.
This is the scene in northern China, outside the state council building of Bajou City. Thousands of protesters gathered outside, voicing upset with the way local authorities addressed the area's recent flood. The majority took issue with the damage compensation provided, which totaled around $137 US. One report suggested that the figure would cover just 1% of their losses. The protest started out non-violent, but public anger rose, with some protesters smashing the building's glass walls. Inside, a banner hanging in the lobby read, "Serve the people." Similar unrest has popped up across the country, with some incidents ending with aggressive police tactics against the demonstrators, including the use of pepper spray. Flood survivors are facing food shortages and urgent financial challenges following the flood disaster.
Facing a major debt crisis at home, China is dumping billions of dollars abroad. But what's motivating the investment? On Thursday, the Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping pledged to launch a special fund to bolster the global development.
China's financial institutions will soon launch a special fund of $10 billion.
Xi announced the plan on the final day of the BRICS summit in South Africa. The group is made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The news comes as China is facing some of the worst economic hardship since the Communist Party took power in 1949. So the huge funding promise is raising eyebrows. China's main plan is to invite African countries to join a special project, China's Belt and Road Initiative, which sets its sights on the continent years ago. But the project faces major criticism from the West. China economic analyst Antonio Gracefo warns of another aspect, buying votes.
These countries that are heavily in debt to China will also vote with China in the UN.
Those concerns come as the BRICS organization announces plans to expand, adding 6 new members to its ranks. China's property woes are now spreading to trophy office buildings. In the nation's financial hub, Shanghai, about 19% of the most exclusive office space is empty. A British real estate firm reports that more tenants in Shanghai's office buildings are now terminating leases than signing them, for the first time since 2015. Office vacancies are also rising in China's other top-tier cities, including Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. In Beijing, office vacancy rates there have hit a 13-year high, with rental prices for office buildings dropping about 20%, their lowest since 2012. In a January video shared online, a secondhand office supplies dealer